Welcome back to the channel. Something a bit different again, as this report will be two shorter ones right after one another. They're 1-250 reports, my golden boys versus catachans. We use the same lists both times, so let's take a look at the rosters. So I finally picked up two caladius grav tanks and wanted to try them out.
This some serious gourmet shit.
A pure Custodes list at this point's level is so frickin' restrictive, so I figured I'd go all out on the spearhead and add in the telemon and trajann, for a seriously intimidating firebase. Having seen both our lists, you probably already figured out why this is two reports in one. And yeah, I know the terrain here does very little to block line of sight, so there's no need to comment on that.
I do that.
So the first match is beachhead, with frontline assault deployment. You've seen my army, so here's guard. Harker's in the middle, giving out his buff to all the tanks and artillery. The rightmost truss is the one with the hammer of sunderance. Guard get the first turn. Everything stays put, except the infantry squads, who fan out across the board. Look how far this one squad is able to move, due to being ordered. 'Cause like no other factions have commanders giving out orders to move double quick.
There it is. You went and said it. I just came right the fuck out and said it.
Okay, no psychic, so on to shooting. I didn't deploy my bikes as far forward as possible, 'cause I wanted them to be in cover for a sweet one-up save. The tanks begin to chip wounds off the bikes, and the two regular tank commanders, plus the basilisks, manage to wipe out the unit. I would have really benefited from a Vexilla in this list, but I just didn't have a way of fitting him in. You can't drop any of the heavy supports, as you then don't have a valid detachment. Dropping one bike doesn't leave enough points, unless you downgrade trajann to a regular shield captain, but then you're removing the main gimmick of the firebase. Even worse, the hammer of sunderance tank wasn't needed against the bikes, so it slaughters one of the caladiuses. I mean, the caladius was just toast. It didn't stand a chance in hell.
I realize that. Now.
My turn too, and I simply have to remove the enemy armor, or I'll get blown off the board next turn. The infantry will then outscore me, but I'll be able to even it up in later turns. I move the caladius up to protect my objective, and take aim at the sunderance russ. However, the combined shooting from both the telemon and the caladius isn't even able to kill that one tank.
What?
He had prepared positions, so even against the telemon he got to take a 6-up save, and I think made a couple of them. Against the caladius he had a 5-up, and again not enough got through. Well, on to the next turn then. The masses of infantry sweep towards me, spearheaded by the culxeis, grabbing the central objective and poised to take mine next turn. Shooting is brutal once more, with everything getting blown up except trajann, and even the mighty man himself takes a few wounds. So obviously I can't do anything now, and concede the game. We re-rack, keeping the same armies but re-rolling mission and map, and give the Custodes the first turn this time.
Wait till I get going.
For this game, we got frontline assault deployment again. But the mission is vital intelligence. There's an objective in the center of each quadrant, and one right in the middle of the board. Guard deployment is pretty much the same, and mine differs in that I deploy the bikes as far forward as possible, as I know I'll have the first turn. In movement, I just rearrange the back line so that I'm claiming two objectives with the caladiuses, whilst staying in range of trajann. The bikes fly to the far side of the building. You can just about see one at the top of the picture. The bikes are right in front of the tip of this screen of guard. In shooting, they destroy the mortar squad for first strike, as well as splitting fire and killing a few infantry. He has prepared positions, so the hurricane bolters aren't all that scary. The telemon fails to kill the sunderance tank again, but a caladius finishes it off.
At last.
The second caladius targets another russ, and does about 8 wounds to it. With their secondary guns the caladiuses also maul a couple of infantry squads. It would be nice to think the bikes could get into his tanks this turn, but it's just way too far, so they have to settle for mullering this front screen of infantry, which they do, of course, and consolidate over here. End of turn 1, then, I score a total of 5 points, because for this first round all of the objectives are active, yielding 2 points each. Guard turn 1, and I'm just gonna skip straight to shooting, as his infantry squads mostly just mill around claiming his objectives. So as you can see, once again the bikes go down pretty easily, to the sheer weight of firepower. He even has a rust left over to shoot at a caladius, but here's the thing. His hammer tank is dead, so he's relying on D3 damage now instead of 3. Oh look, there appears to be a strange looking token next to my caladius. I wonder what's underneath it. Yeah. The caladius survives with 1 wound remaining. I've never seen such an unlucky roll for damage. He got something like 9 wounds through past my save altogether, and even using a CP reroll, he didn't manage to destroy the tank. Well, he does score 5 points at least, or maybe even 7 if the culxeis took the central objective. My turn 2, and the wounded caladius still hits on 4+ even with only 1 wound left, so it's able to finish off the wounded Russ. This frees up the telemon to do what it does best.
Put aside the ranger. Become who you are born to be.
With no prepared positions to thwart it, it deletes the third and final Russ with ease. The second caladius also deletes one of the basilisks. I believe 2 of his vehicles explode, too, taking chunks out of nearby infantry squads, and of course the caladiuses lay down some punishing anti-infantry fire too. When the smoke clears, there's just 1 basilisk left, and all the infantry on the left flank are dead or fleeing. The right flank is reduced to just a few stragglers. I score a couple more points for my objectives. Guard turn 2, and the survivors scramble to hold on to some objectives. The basilisk fluffs its rolls completely, and the culxeis attempts a heroic but foolhardy charge into the caladius to try and finish it off. I roll well for Overwatch, and the assassin is cut down before he reaches the tank. In my turn 3, I claim 3 objectives, blow up the last basilisk, and finish off the last infantry squad. Guard only have a character or 2 left. Although they're currently ahead in points, a guard victory is now impossible, as I'll outscore him for the remaining turns, even if I somehow don't manage to kill the characters. Guard therefore concede.
This story shall the good man teach his son.
Well, there you have it, 2 ultra-quick and brutal reports. Interesting how having 1 less Russ, and failing to kill the caladius, made all the difference in the second match. Prepared positions made a huge difference too, as it managed to mess up even the telemon's shooting. As I said at the start, there wasn't really anything to block line of sight to models larger than human size, but even if there had been, I doubt my large models would have been able to make much use of it to be honest, and with these 2 extremely shooting heavy armies, whose guns have enough range to cover the entire battlefield, it would likely still have come down to whoever went first. Anyway, that about does it. I enjoyed taking the grav tanks for a spin, and seeing how they fared against a strong guard list. Thanks for watching.